What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Wednesday recording with your favorite host, Michael, here at Chanochi Sports. And let's get into today's recording. So, with the NFL draft, you have a lot of guys saying, "Oh, this guy's going to do this well. This guy's going to do poorly." Blah 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 blah. Here are my 5 predictions for this year's 2020 rookie class. First, let's start with the first pick. Joe Burrow will complete about 65% of his throws, but he will throw at least 15 interceptions and have multiple pick sixes. Look, it's not an indictment. The 65% is the highest clip of any number one overall rookie with at least 10 starts in his rookie year since 2000. I mean, no rookie has done it yet, but you see the mark steadily climbing and improving. And I feel like Joe Burrow can probably hit that 65% mark, especially with the wide receivers that he has in Cincinnati. And the 15 interceptions, it's not that bad. Only Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield threw fewer interceptions in their first season, and Burrow doesn't have Kyler's mobility or Baker's gunslinging nature, which means he will probably hesitate and make bad throws. And the multiple pick sixes, every number one overall quarterback since the year 2000 has thrown one, and only David Carr and Cam Newton have thrown just one. What does David Carr and Cam Newton have in common? Oh, coming out of college, they had terrific arm strength. Does Burrow have that terrific arm strength? No. He has good arm strength, but not great or elite arm strength. So like those out-breaking throws that will give the DB just a wide open lane to the end zone, that's going to happen. And also, Cincinnati I don't believe, have the offensive line completely figured out yet. So he's going to rush a lot of throws because he's going to be rushed himself. But Burrow will still have a pretty good rookie campaign. Here's my second prediction. A wide receiver will win Rookie of the Year. And I know, hasn't happened since 2014 with OBJ. Why did it happen with OBJ? Because Hakeem Nicks left the Giants, who was a pretty good wide receiver for the Giants the year prior, and Victor Cruz, who was the Giants at the time franchise wide receiver, had only played 6 games that year, so a void was left open for wide receiver production. Let's start with the first wide receiver. You have Henry Ruggs III with Oakland. Oakland's leading receiver was a tight end who caught up for 1,100 yards. Their leading wide receiver had 650 and 600. Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler with the Broncos. They have a nice, exciting young quarterback in Drew Lock, and Emmanuel Sanders left. That's a void. That's opportunity to get some targets. CeeDee Lamb with the Dallas Cowboys, who is personally my favorite as a wide receiver to win Rookie of the Year. We have Randall Cobb, Jason Witten. Both of them left. That leaves open 166 targets. I'm not saying Lamb will get them all, but if he can get at least 60 to 70% of them and is as explosive for the Cowboys as he was at Oklahoma, I don't know. That Offensive Rookie of the Year might be coming to him. Justin Jefferson with the Minnesota Vikings. Stephon Diggs, he had 63 receptions for 1,100 yards and 6 TDs. Justin Jefferson can at least replicate that to like 75-80%. He's good. And there's other young wide receivers out this class who can easily fill in the voids left by other teams. You have Michael Pittman for Indianapolis, Van Jefferson for LA Rams, Denzel Mims for the New York Jets, who just lost both Robbie Anderson and Demaryius Thomas. You have Devin Duvernay for the Ravens. You have guys all up and down this board who will make an impact from the wide receiver position. So don't be surprised with winning these wide receivers. Don't be surprised if they win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Here's the third thing. Burrow, Hurts, Tua, Herbert, and Love, we'll see all of them get some action this year. I'm not saying all of them will start. I believe Burrow, Tua, and possibly Herbert will be the only ones to start. But You may see all of them. Burrow, he's definitely a week 1 starter. Hurts, week 1 or 2, quick gadget play, he'll be in there pretty early. Tua, he'll get in there whenever Fitzmagic fizzes or when he's 100% healthy. Justin Herbert, he goes in if either the Chargers need a jump start or it's a week 17 meaningless game with nothing to lose and nothing to gain. You have Jordan Love. He'll come in late in a blowout win because Aaron Rodgers is still great, even though the Green Bay Packers don't seem to think so. Or he'll come in a week 17 meaningless game. Here's my 4th prediction. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, pencil him in as a running back to potentially win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Look, he's probably the best running back in this draft. And he goes to the best team in the league with the best quarterback and the best offense in the league. I mean, look, LaShawn McCoy isn't coming back. Edwards-Helaire is probably going to start over Damian Williams. He'll get the majority of the split touches, which means he will get rested, but still will put up production. And he's a solid 3-pound back. And Kansas City loves using running backs in their passing game. I say he could be like LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy in his rookie season with, by the way, Andy Reid as his head coach, he had 600 rushing yards and 300 receiving yards while playing back up to Brian Westbrook. But a lot of people see Clyde Edwards-Helaire as being another Brian Westbrook. And if he can replicate that amount of success in his rookie year, that's rookie of the year honors right there. And 5th and finally, please don't overreact to the team's bad draft. Look, NFL.com's Hanar Felice and Dan Parr ranked every single team's draft. And from what I saw, they're pretty smart draft evaluators because I couldn't argue with their list. Every team that they had, they placed them exactly where I thought they were going to be. 32nd, dead last, they had the Green Bay Packers. Yes, I agree. The Green Bay Packers probably had the worst draft out of any draft I've seen probably in the last 5 years, but they're still a playoff team. They still have Aaron Rodgers, who is the best quarterback in the division, and with Stephon Diggs gone, Devontae Adams is the unquestioned best wide receiver in that division. Yeah, the Packers should have still drafted a wide receiver, but come on, let's be honest here. Aaron Rodgers is probably the only top 10 quarterback in his division. The only quarterback you could possibly argue is Matt Stafford. But when it comes to wins, yeah, Matt Stafford is in that top 10. 31st, you have the Patriots. Now, Bill Belichick hasn't always been great in the draft. He just always had Brady. But this draft was atrocious. But, the Patriots aren't going to miss the playoffs because they've had a bad draft. They're going to miss the playoffs because Stidham and Hoyer aren't Brady. And I don't know if anybody's going to tell Belichick this, but his division has gotten better. Look, Fitzpatrick beat Tom Brady in New England on week 17 with a bye on the line. Imagine if Fitzpatrick plays either Stidham or Hoyer, or even worse, imagine if Tua plays Stidham or Hoyer. For the first time, probably in their franchise's history, definitely since Brady's gotten there, the Patriots don't have the best quarterback in the division anymore. If anything, they probably have the worst quarterback in the division. So I know Belichick is going to have that defense right, but that offense, it's going to be tough to watch. Now, at 30th, they have Pittsburgh. But if Big Ben comes back 100%, Pittsburgh is still at least a wild card team. Like I said in the episode last week, they were a win away from the playoffs last year. If they win any of their final 3 games that they lost and they only scored a total of 30 points, if they win any of those 3 games, we don't see Tennessee. We see Pittsburgh. And you can't tell me that Big Ben wouldn't have won even one of the 8 games that the Steelers lost last year. You can't tell me that having Big Ben in the lineup doesn't flip the script. I predict that Big Ben probably would have won a solid 5 or 6 of those games. So, there you go. 29th, you have Seattle. But Seattle still have Russell Wilson. And the 3 running backs that they lost in the regular season, Chris Carson, CJ Prosise, and Rashad Penny, all come back. And the San Francisco's Super Bowl hangover is as bad as we think it's going to be. And if the Rams and the Cardinals don't make any improvements from last year, Seattle's easily taking that division. What about 26 with the Eagles? Guess what? The Eagles still win that division. They have the best quarterback head coach combination in the division, and they're the only team in the division that doesn't have a new head coach. The Cowboys have Mike McCarthy. The Giants have Joe Judge. The Redskins have Ron Rivera. And don't overreact to the picks that they made. Please don't. Jalen Reagor was someone that they needed. Yes, we understand. We know. He probably wasn't the deepest. He probably wasn't the best wide receiver available on the board. But Philadelphia didn't need a good wide receiver. They didn't need just any good wide receiver. They needed a great wide receiver who was a deep threat. Jalen Reagor was probably the second best deep threat in this draft, behind, of course, Henry Ruggs. And he went first. He went 12th to the Raiders. And look, everyone says, well, why waste a pick on Jalen Hurts? And I'm going to say it now. Jalen Hurts going second in the second round to the Eagles is not that bad of a pick. If Doug Peterson truly believed in Jalen Hurts, he was not going to let him go. He was not going to let him go. If he truly believed in Jalen Hurts, which I believe he does, he was not going to let him go. And he didn't. Understand, the Eagles picked 53rd in that draft. The next pick was 50 picks later. Do you not know how many teams could have potentially drafted Jalen Hurts? You had the Tennessee Titans. Belichick had 4 picks. Pittsburgh had a couple of picks. Jacksonville had a couple of picks. So let's not overreact to the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts. Let's not. And then finally at 24th, you have the Chiefs. But the Chiefs really didn't need to have a good draft. If anything, the Chiefs could have had the worst draft of all time and probably still would have won the division. Yes, the Broncos had a better draft, but they had a better draft because they were a worse team. The Chiefs, for the most part, they're kind of already complete in what they want to do. They already have the best offense in the league. They kept both of the coordinators, so they're already comfortable with the system, and they know exactly how they want to execute and how they want to play next year. And like I said earlier, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was probably the best thing that they could have gotten out of that draft, and they got him. So let's not overreact to any of these drafts. The Broncos are not beating Kansas City for the division because they had a better draft than them. Kansas City is still the better team. They still have the best player out of all teams in the NFL. So, no. Let's relax. Let's chill on that. Don't overreact to these bad drafts, folks. Don't overreact to these bad drafts.